Hi everyone. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my journey with Monica. I am in my mid to late 50s, have a very healthy lifestyle, or thought that I did. That stubborn menopause and not being able to lose weight, despite eating healthy, no fried foods, cutting back on carbs, doing all of the things that I thought were right. My journey with Monica and her really understanding what you're going through, speaking to you to understand your individual needs, and looking at my daily lifestyle and diet, there were a significant amount of things that she pointed out that were endocrine disruptors, that were affecting my sleeping habits, the inflammation, all these things that you learn about certain foods that could cause a reaction to your body. So in my journey with her, not only did I learn those things, it's amazing when you take things out of your diet and then you add them back in, how you can immediately feel how your body responds to that. The issues that I were having that have seemed to gone away, I was struggling with incredibly bad insomnia, a little bit of depression, low libido, stubborn weight loss that would not come off. And with her diet, I wouldn't even call it a diet, more of a lifestyle, and recognizing what foods are a reaction or a trigger to your body, the weight came off very quickly. I feel healthier, sleeping much better, and very happy with where I am in my journey.
Hey, beautiful, and welcome back to Are You There, Midlife? It's me, Monica. I'm your host, Monica Topetti, holistic health coach and hormone imbalance survivor. And on this podcast, I share stories, science, and proven strategies to help you navigate perimenopause and menopause without doctors, drugs, or divorce. On today's episode, I'm going to get really tactical. We're going to talk about a topic that is so critical to balancing hormones, and it's something that we all love. Can you guess what it is? Food. Yes, and specifically what types of food may actually be triggering your hormonal symptoms. I can't tell you how many women I talk to in my coaching practice who genuinely believe that they are eating clean, healthy foods. Well, at least most of the time. But they have no idea that their healthy diet is actually sabotaging their hormones. I get it because that was me. I'm going to tell you more about my story in just a few minutes. So if you're in perimenopause and are dealing with IBS, IBD, bloating, allergies, eczema, headaches, nausea, acid reflux, stomach pain, joint pain, or even unexplained weight gain, you're definitely going to want to stick around. Let's go. Welcome to Are You There, Midlife? It's me, Monica. Hi, I'm Monica Topetti, wife, mom, health coach, and hormone imbalance survivor. And I'm on a mission to help women in midlife balance hormones naturally without drugs, doctors, or divorce. Are you tired of dealing with heavy, painful periods that look like a crime scene? Are you sick of struggling with anxiety, fatigue, or brain fog that... What was I just saying? Are you frustrated doing all the things to lose weight but still packing on pounds faster than a real housewife changes Birkins? Girl, you are in the right place. Join me each week as I spill the tea on what to expect in perimenopause and beyond. From IBS to insomnia, bloating to funky body odor, I'll unpack all the weird stuff happening inside our midlife bodies, plus give you the latest science and holistic solutions to manage it all. So ditch the Spanx and hop on board the Hot Mess Express. Let's do this. Hey friend, welcome back. So in today's episode, I'm going to take a deep dive into food sensitivities. Specifically, what they are, why they happen, and how they can be a sign of a hormonal imbalance. Plus, I'm going to give you a rundown of the 10 most seemingly healthy foods that may actually be causing you hormonal chaos. But first, I want to share with you a little bit about my story with food and food sensitivities. So it was about back in 2014 when I first started to experience hormonal imbalance symptoms. Only at the time, I didn't know what was happening to me. All I knew is that sometimes when I ate, I would get stomach pains. Now, I was used to kind of like the bloating and even like gas that sometimes I would get when I ate certain foods, especially like foods with milk, like ice cream and that kind of thing. But this was happening more and more frequently and more with different foods that I was eating. As time went on, these pains escalated. Um, it was getting really more than just troublesome. It was really starting to get in the way of me enjoying a good meal and me feeling good in my body. So I decided to clean up my diet. I got rid of all the takeout. I got rid of the ice cream. I got rid of all the things that I knew were probably not good for me and probably causing, indigestion issues. But my symptoms only got worse. So then I decided to really clean up my diet. I mean, I was throwing everything out of the house that I knew was not good for me. I was focusing strictly on healthy foods like whole wheat bread, veggie burgers, hummus, plant-based coffee creamers, all of the things. Guess what happened? My symptoms got worse. In fact, it got so bad that I would literally start to cry when it was time for a meal because even though I was so hungry, I knew how badly my stomach was going to hurt after I ate. And so I wasn't sure which was worse, crying because I was hungry or crying because of the pain that I knew that I was going to feel. It wasn't until months and months later when I went through a battery of tests with my doctors to rule out all sorts of issues that could be going on, and they all came back negative, when I started to research hormonal imbalances. And I started performing what Harvard University calls N1 of 1 experiments, which is the highest level of evidence, and that is experiments and data on yourself. And it was through those experiments that I started to uncover all of the seemingly healthy foods that I was eating that were actually causing my hormonal symptoms, including my stomach pain. Are you ready to find out what foods may be contributing to your hormonal symptoms? I'm going to unpack all of this in just a minute. But first, I want to mention that I'm going to be sharing a special announcement at the end of today's episode. So make sure you stick around to the end, okay? So go ahead and grab your AYTM notepad. That's Are You There Midlife? And let's stir the tea on all things food and hormones. People ask me all the time if certain foods can heal their hormones. And the answer is yes. In fact, I'd say about 65 to 70% of my Own Your Shift hormone balancing program involves diet and nutrition, and that includes foods that heal inflammation, foods that promote liver detoxification, foods that help aid in microbiome health, and foods that help optimize your hormone production. But it also includes foods that disrupt hormone production or may even contribute to a hormonal imbalance. When it comes to the question, do hormone imbalances cause food sensitivities, or do food insensitivities cause hormone imbalances? It's a little like asking, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? To begin with, we have to understand what a food insensitivity or food sensitivity is. In simple terms, a food sensitivity is an adverse reaction after consuming a particular food. Makes sense, right? Do not confuse this with a food allergy. A food allergy is caused by an immune response to a particular food or beverage. The cause of a food sensitivity is really related to a digestive issue. For instance, you might be lacking a certain digestive enzyme, or you might have other digestive causes like phytochemicals in a pesticide on your food, hormones in a food, or even chemical additives in foods and beverages. Again, these are not allergies. So it's important to understand that even though you may have eaten a particular food for years and had no reaction, food sensitivities are gradual. They can actually take years to develop. And if you have an underlying hormonal imbalance, that makes you even more susceptible. What causes a food sensitivity? Well, for the most part, food sensitivities showing up around the age of 40 or so when you're hitting perimenopause are usually caused by fluctuating hormones, in particular estrogen. Now, estrogen has very inflammatory properties inherent in its makeup. And what's good about that is it can actually help us protect ourselves against certain food reactions. But when estrogen starts to fluctuate, we can experience an inflammatory response or sensitivity to a food or beverage that never caused us any issues before. Lucky us. Estrogen can also affect our gut motility. And gut motility refers to how food moves through our digestive tract. That's why some foods in perimenopause can suddenly cause bloating, stomach pain, constipation, or other digestive issues if the food in question is affecting that motility. Other hormonal imbalances that can cause a food sensitivity are elevated cortisol levels, adrenal fatigue, or even a impaired thyroid. This can impair your digestion and increase the likelihood of developing a food sensitivity. The biggest aha moment amongst many of my clients in my Own Your Shift program is the realization of what seemingly healthy foods may actually be contributing to their hormonal imbalance. And so I'm going to give you a list of, not an all-encompassing list by any means, but I'm going to give you a list of some of the top 10 quote-unquote healthy foods you may be eating that may be actually causing you hormonal chaos. Are you ready? Okay. Number 1 and number 2, I'm going to kind of group together. They are cottage cheese and yogurt. Yep. Who would have thunk it, right? We have to first realize that there is a difference between a low-calorie food versus a hormone-disrupting food. Both cottage cheese and yogurt are high in protein, so a lot of people will think, oh, those are healthy foods for me. But when we're talking about cow dairy in particular, and both of those foods fall into the dairy family, there are a few separate issues inherent in cow dairy that contribute to a food sensitivity. Number 1, cow dairy contains casein, and casein is a protein that can often be hard to digest, even with people who don't have a hormonal imbalance. They also contain lactose, and a lot of people, I know I do, lack an enzyme called lactase, which is needed to actually break down and digest lactose. That's why sometimes you can eat cottage cheese or yogurt or ice cream and maybe get like a bloated stomach or gas or something like that. So that usually is related to either the casein or the lactose. Now, this is where we get into kind of the hormonal component. Dairy also contains a hormone known as insulin-like growth factor 1. And what this does is it increases the production of testosterone and estrogen in our body. So if we already have higher than normal levels of estrogen or higher levels of estrogen to progesterone, this can actually contribute to one of the most common hormonal imbalances for perimenopausal women, known as estrogen dominance. This insulin-like growth factor 1 can also increase testosterone. Now, ladies, we all have testosterone. In fact, it is the highest level hormone in our entire body. We just have a lot less than men do. But what happens when we get more testosterone than we need? Well, then we start to develop symptoms of high testosterone, like acne, facial hair, weight gain in our stomach, and even male pattern baldness. Oh boy, it's a party. That brings us to number 3 and number 4 of the seemingly healthy foods that may be sabotaging your hormones, and that is whole wheat and whole grains. Now, for some of you, this may not be such a shocker, especially if you are familiar with celiacs or gluten intolerance. But suffice it to say that wheat in the 20th century is not like the wheat produced 50 years ago. It's grown really quickly with pesticides, and that can cause a lot of digestive issues. In fact, so many people, not just women and women with hormonal imbalances, but so many people in general have such a negative reaction to the family of gluten proteins found in wheat, oats, corn, rice, rye, and barley that the World Health Organization has recommended screening the entire general population for food sensitivities. Yeah. Grains can unfortunately be found in a variety of easily consumable packaged foods. That includes bread, tortillas, cereal, crackers, cookies, and even processing additives. The number 5th food on the list might come as a shock to you, especially if you like your trail mix, is dried fruit. Yeah. If you like to snack on trail mix containing raisins, dried apricots, or apples and think you're being healthy, you might not want to continue that habit because dried fruits, number 1, are super high in sugar. I mean, think about it. All of the water has been dehydrated from the fruit. And so it's a very intensive concentrate of the fruit itself, which only increases the sugar. And increased sugar can lead to issues like blood sugar imbalances and insulin resistance, which speaking in English means weight gain. Secondly, many dried fruit snacks contain sulfites, and these sulfites actually disrupt the detoxification of excess estrogens in your body. So if you're already dealing with estrogen dominance, dried fruits will only make your symptoms worse. Number 6 on our list is meatless burgers. Now, not all, but most meatless burgers are made from a blend of soy. And soy is a powerful phytoestrogen containing food that contains a component called isoflavones. Now, isoflavones actually mimic estrogen in the body. Your body has no way of knowing whether it's a naturally occurring estrogen like produced in your ovaries or that it is an estrogen from a plant. And so what happens is consuming these isoflavones actually increase the overall estrogen levels in your body and again contribute to estrogen dominance in perimenopause and even in menopause. Number 7 on our list is hummus. Now, hummus is made from chickpeas, and chickpeas is a plant that is part of the legume family. All legumes contain something called lectins, and lectins essentially are these built-in bodyguards for the plant. Animals have teeth and claws, plants have lectins, and this chemical compound is actually designed to repel insects. Makes sense, right? But it's so powerful that humans actually can't digest it. And so when your gut and your liver is acting optimally, you're not dealing with hormonal imbalances, and your body is in homeostasis or in balance, you can pretty much tolerate these lectins and just kind of pass them through your system. But if you're dealing with a compromised gut, liver detoxification issues, a hormone imbalance, these lectins can be slippery suckers, and they are often a frequent source of food sensitivity. Other lectin-containing legumes include beans, peas, lentils, also most grains, edamame, which is soy, right? Miso, white potatoes, among others. Number 8 on our seemingly healthy food list is citrus fruits. And number 9 is kombucha. And I'm putting them all together for a reason. Certain foods tend to cause food sensitivities in women dealing with specific hormonal imbalances. And that's why I've grouped citrus fruits and kombucha together. Because in women with adrenal dysfunction, there's a class of foods called histamines or histamine liberators that can actually cause an inflammatory response in the body. What happens is the plant that contains the histamines releases the excess histamines, and that triggers somebody with adrenal dysfunction. Other foods that fit into this category besides citrus fruit and kombucha are other fermented foods like vinegar and beverages and all other high histamine containing foods. And lastly on our list, number 10 of seemingly healthy foods that may be causing you hormonal chaos is salsa. Yes, you thought dipping your veggies in salsa was safe? Well, maybe if you don't have a food sensitivity, but if you are experiencing symptoms of fatigue, slow metabolism, constipation, intolerance to cold, unexplained weight gain, you may be dealing with an impaired thyroid. And women with thyroid issues can really be sensitive to the alkaloids contained in tomatoes. Tomatoes are a nightshade vegetable. So other vegetables that fall into this category include peppers, eggplants, and white potatoes. And so there you go, 10 seemingly healthy foods that may be actually sabotaging your hormones. Are you tired of going to a party or going out to dinner and not knowing which foods are going to trigger your hormonal symptoms? Are you gaining weight despite following a seemingly healthy diet and including foods you've been taught are good for you, like whole grains, citrus fruits, and soy? Do you suspect you might be dealing with a food sensitivity and are ready to finally get to the bottom of what's going on with your hormones? Then click the link in the show notes and take my 5-minute hormone quiz. Developed by 3 functional medicine doctors, this self-assessment uses hormone symptom profiling to evaluate your age, your menstrual cycle, and your symptoms for 9 of the most common subclinical hormonal imbalances in perimenopause through postmenopause. It's quick, it's easy, it's scary accurate, and it's free. And best of all, it'll give you the clarity you need to finally understand what's going on with you and your hormones. Finally, I'd like to wrap up today with this week's Thump on the Head, which comes from functional medicine doctor and 15 times New York bestselling author, Dr. Mark Hyman. He says, "Food is information, telling your body what to do. Every bite you eat affects your hormones, brain chemistry, and metabolism." Are you listening to your body, ladies? It's time to get back on speaking terms. And speaking of speaking terms and good communication, I am excited to announce a special His and Hers Day Thursday series I'm kicking off later this week. It's called Love and Hormones, and it's all about how perimenopause and menopause affect your marriage. Every other week during the months of April and May, I will be joined by my hubby Rick, and we will be delving into a different hormonal topic together, giving you both the female and the male perspective. This week's episode is about how to explain perimenopause to your man. So make sure you grab your hubby or boyfriend and listen to this one together. Hey friend, can I call you friend? Because I already feel like we're friends in my head. Did this podcast teach you something, make you laugh, or feel less like an alien? If so, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could take just 60 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the number one way you can thank me and support the show. Until next week, stay cool and keep away from sharp objects.